As I share our call to worship from Kathleen Mctigue, which references home, place, shelter, all of which I know to be physical locations, I'm struck that we are all asked right now to consider deeply and creatively how to be a community apart, a community in so many homes and so many places as we shelter wherever we find ourselves. Into this home, we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring our compassionate hearts and a will toward justice. Into this home, we bring the courage to walk on after hard losses. Into this home, we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we bless this place. In its shelter, we know ourselves blessed. Kathleen Mctigue. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Lincoln. I am Christine Davis, a worship associate. My pronouns are she, her. It is good to be with all of you tuning in this morning, and those of you viewing this later. I'm joined in the chancel by Andy Larson, who has recently joined the worship team. You'll hear from her shortly. The Unitarian Church of Lincoln aspires to be a loving community, uniting reason with spiritual exploration to transform ourselves and the world. We have a big vision here, and we know that creating a loving community begins with welcome. So at this point, I'm going to make a correction. You'll hear from M shortly. So whether this is your first time here or your 500th, if you came here hopeful or heartbroken, whatever your age, gender identity, sexual orientation, skin color, you are welcome here. As we enter into worship, take a moment wherever you are to center yourself. Take a few deep breaths and join me in welcoming Christopher Lloyd. No, it's C.Sayre. He was teasing about the fact that he looks like Christopher Lloyd now.
Thank you. Way up in the mountains, on the high timber line, there's a twisted old tree called the Bristlecone pine. Now the wind there is bitter and cuts with a knife, and keeps this tree holding on for dear life. Hold on, it does, standing its ground, standing as empires rise and fall down. Now when Jesus was gathering lambs to his fold, this tree was already 1,000 years old. Now the way I have lived, it ain't easy to tell when I die if I'm going to heaven or hell. So when I'm laid to rest, it'll suit me just fine to sleep at the feet of the Bristlecone pine. And as I would slowly return to this earth, what little this body of mine might be worth, it would soon start to nourish the roots of this tree. And it would partake of the essence of me. And the way I have lived, there ain't no way to tell when I die if I'm going to heaven or hell. So when I'm laid to rest, it'll suit me just fine to sleep at the feet of the Bristlecone pine. Who knows what's found as the centuries turn? A small spark in me might continue to burn. And as long as the sun does continue to shine, down on the limbs of the Bristlecone pine. And the way I have lived, there ain't no way to tell when I die if I'm going to heaven or hell. But I just as soon serve out eternity's time. Sleep at the feet of the Bristlecone pine.
Our chalice lighting words today are "A Flame to Light Our Path" by Debra Burrell. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace. Our hymn is from Singing the Living Tradition 188, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are."
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours
name's Michelle Howard. My pronouns are she, hers, and hers. And I joined the church just recently and been very supportive going through my transitioning and through my journey. It's been rough though, but like I said, they've been very supportive. They're like a family to me, so, but. Just from me, like kindness of your heart and just a joy of pledging and just going, like I said, this makes me feel like I'm welcome there at the church when I go in service, and they just kind of treat me like the person who I really am inside. So just being there, a very welcoming church and friendly church. So.
Our story today is called A Family is a Family is a Family. We were talking about families at school, and the teacher asked us what we thought made our family special. I went last because I wasn't sure what to say. My family's not like everyone else's. My mom and dad have been best friends since first grade. They really like each other. It's kind of gross. There are lots of kids in our family. Mom and dad just keep coming home with more. Both of my moms are terrible singers, and they both like to sing very loud. I have more grandparents than anybody else I know. We have a new baby in our house. I think my mom ordered him online. We all look alike in my family. We just kind of go together. One week, my mom gets me. The next week, dad does. Fair's fair. Some people say I look like my dad, and some people say I look like my mom. I think I look like myself. My mom says that before I was born, I grew in her heart. Because I live with my grandmother, people sometimes think she's my mother. She's not. She's my everything. Some of the kids were dads when he met mom, and some were moms when she met dad. Now we all belong to each other. One of my dads is tall and one is short. They both give good hugs. I listened to everyone else, and then I remembered the time someone saw us all in the park together. She asked my foster mother to point out her real children. Oh, I don't have any imaginary children. All my children are real. A family is a family is a family. And that is the end of our story.
Good morning. I'm here with Andy Grubb, who is the State Executive Director for Planned Parenthood in Nebraska. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. So our direct mission is to provide, promote, and protect sexual and reproductive health through health services, education, and advocacy. So again, really looking at kind of all of the different ways that our community needs access to sexual and reproductive health care, including abortion, and making sure that we're kind of surrounding not just the healthcare services, which we're pretty well known for, but also our education programming so that folks have the information and the resources that they need to make decisions and live their lives in the most healthy way for them. And also, again, we know better than ever right now that protecting access to those things is absolutely crucial to continuing. Our biggest challenge right now is that we are in the most unprecedented time in history in regard to attacks on the services that we provide. Very specifically on abortion, we saw the state of Texas pass the most restrictive and honestly horrifying law we've ever seen regarding abortion at the beginning of this month, at the beginning of September. And, we're seeing states get excited about trying to copy that. We had our very own lieutenant governor on Saturday saying he hopes that's what happens in Nebraska. This fundamental threat to people's bodily autonomy and ability to make choices for themselves is in a place we've never seen it before. And fighting that is our number one priority and challenge across the country and very specifically in Nebraska.
Are there ways that our members and friends could help Planned Parenthood? I mean, today we're here in part to raise some money to help further the cause, but are there other ways that we can get involved?
Absolutely. Right now, getting folks engaged in this work is more crucial than ever. And I always hesitate because I feel like we say that a lot, and it's because this work has been under attack for so long. But like I said, this is a new era. This is just a level of attacks that we didn't think would ever happen. So we need to mobilize people. We need folks speaking up and speaking out that they do not want these restrictions in our state. You can do that through sharing information with folks, like even just the opportunity to share here with folks in your congregation. More opportunities like that are always welcome. Any chance we can get to really share with folks the impact that these types of restrictions have on communities, on the people in Nebraska. So speaking out on social media, sharing things that we post so that folks really understand what's going on, trying to kind of get past that misinformation that can get out there so easily. Another one is contact your senators, contact your state senators and tell them we are not going to stand for this, that we're not Texas. We don't want to be Texas. We are Nebraska, and we respect people's ability to take care of themselves and take care of their own bodies and make their own decisions. You can always volunteer with us. We have lots of opportunities right now to be involved in the mobilization of folks across the state. Obviously, financial donations are incredibly helpful, both to keep the expert reproductive and sexual health care that we provide going on a regular basis, and also to keep this fight up as well.
I'm going to close real quick by saying that if you'd like to give a contribution to Share the Plate in October of 2021 to Planned Parenthood of the North Central States, all you need to do is text UC Lincoln and the amount to 73256. And you can also give the old-fashioned way by sending in a check or giving through our online database on Realm. Thanks again for being with us, Andy. It was a pleasure talking with you, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks so much.
My name is Andy Larson, and I am a worship associate for this church. My pronouns are am/ers. One central part of our service is the time we join together in community to mark the moments of our lives. We share our joys, our sorrows, the events that mark the steps and stops along our way. The threads of sorrow and those of joy are entwined in the fabric of our lives, present for each of us, remembered by each of us. When shared, your threads may be woven together with those of others in our community. In this way, our joys are magnified. We are comforted in our sorrows. As we listen to the next hymn, I invite you to type into the chat your name or the name of another that you wish remembered, either in joy or in sorrow. That's Singing the Living Tradition, 347, Gather the Spirit.
Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
One of the things that I appreciate most about Oscar is that he has consistently kept our vision and mission in the forefront and driving our strategic planning. We aspire to be a loving community, uniting reason with spiritual exploration to transform ourselves and our world. Can you believe that Oscar has been our minister now for over 4 years? Happy Clergy Appreciation Day, Oscar. Here's to many more.
Thank you so much for supporting me and the rest of the staff as we navigate our roles within our work at the church during this pandemic and such crazy, uncertain times.
The English missionary Roland Allen says, Among our own people, also the church sorely needs clergy in close touch with the ordinary life of the laity, living the life of ordinary men, sharing their difficulties and understanding their trials by close personal experience. Today is Clergy Appreciation Day, so I want to say thank you, Oscar, for your guidance, for your support, and for everything you do for the church, the staff, the board, congregants, volunteers, choir members, A Street Band, RE volunteers. Real leadership is expressing your doubt and also expressing your confidence. It's very nice to be in such close contact with someone so well-rounded and open about their experiences. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and leadership, and I hope you had a good vacation.
Thank you, Oscar, for everything you have done as we enter year 205 of the COVID-19 pandemic. You always bring such a wonderful humor to everything that you do. It helps all of us understand that we live in unprecedented times, but there is joy in moments. We can still find joy in those moments. I also really appreciate how you are always available for congregants, members, friends. You make yourself accessible to them, and you provide a very reassuring and comforting presence for them in times of need. Thanks, Oscar.
When I was a teenager, Dad went to Montana for a couple of months for work. I remember him crying as he got into the car. When he pulled out of the driveway, we all breathed a sigh of relief. My brothers and I knew better than to relax immediately, of course. We had all been caught unawares with contraband music playing or a video game started when Dad had returned for some forgotten item, and this time we could afford to wait. If he caught us listening to Smash Mouth or reading comics, he might decide not to leave. Instead of a precious few weeks without him looking over our shoulders, it would be that much harder to bring books home from the library or watch the occasional borrowed DVD. Mom would come under extra scrutiny, and he might find her romance novels. He wasn't spanking us much anymore by then, but if he noticed me wearing pants, I would have to go put a skirt on. My brothers still got pulled into interminable, impractical projects, like digging a bomb shelter under the barn, while enduring cutting remarks whenever they neglected to read his mind. My father loved us, obsessed over us, holding the nuclear family as the ultimate unit of humanity. Unhappy as a child of divorce, he idealized the two-parent family, isolating us from relatives and homeschooling us to prevent indoctrination by the government. We had few friends. His mother fought constantly for time with her grandchildren, competing with our extensive chore lists and his distrust of her. Dad blamed Grandma for everything wrong with him. She would sit us down for a tete-a-tete and end up crying, "He was such a sweet boy. I don't know what I did wrong." I don't know either, Grandma, and we all have our theories, but now we all avoid him. My brothers have all moved to different states. I am so visibly queer that he avoids acknowledging me when I come home to visit. If Mom divorced him, he would probably never see any of us again. In his pursuit of the idealized nuclear family, he absolutely destroyed it.
Cultivating relationship is our worship theme this month. And I've agreed to talk about family after a year that has cast a discouraging light on mine, the first cycle of seasons without my dad. Of course, tomorrow is National Coming Out Day, a day fraught with agony and ecstasy for those who will choose to risk the loss of family connections for the sake of finding their way fully and openly as members of the LGBTQIA community. Family can be complicated. Andy and I have agreed to acknowledge that. Though there were 7 of us at my family table growing up, I did not feel that big family closeness that I read about, heard about. We were a band of survivors, kids and grown-ups alike, locked under a roof, trying to make our way with a volatile and exacting father at the helm, until we found whatever release might look like. Chronic overwork for one, addiction for a couple more, marriage precipitated by teen pregnancy for a 4th, sudden religious conversion for a 5th, and divorce, finally, for my parents after 29 years. My strategy was to be a high, calm, low-load presence. I watched for and tried to deliver whatever might help to create pockets of calm and made as few demands as possible. Dad affirmed me, which wasn't his usual way with his kids. The more fully I occupied my role, the better protected I was from his volatility. My siblings didn't seem to value the calm I brought. Why? I didn't understand. I was a kid. Time has taught me that they felt as separate from me as I felt from them, confused and resentful about my different treatment. What I did to manage the stress of being among them inadvertently separated us in ways painful to all of us. So I identify with Andy's dad in part, with the pressure it seems he felt to influence his family and his inability to see how the way he tried to bring it about worked against all of them. After I left home, I tried to create a family in which I felt I belonged. Each time, I worked to be an asset, to earn my place among the group members, the same way I strive to do in my family of origin, through calm service and self-sufficiency. In my first marriage, in the PTO at my daughter's school, as a member of different work groups, and in this community of communities, this church, I tried to conjure a replacement family. Sadly, and I suppose not surprisingly, no matter how many acts of service I completed and how much appreciation I might receive for them, I still didn't feel like I, capital B, belonged. In all my attempts at faux family making, I did not achieve the sense of belonging I imagined others did. Not ever. Still, like Sisyphus, I kept rolling that damn boulder up the hill, barely escaping being smashed by it over and over and over. In time, I came to believe that the elusiveness of belonging was not just bad luck, but that something about me was missing, not embraceable, not enough, or too much. Still, I had this one move. I doubled down, more and more and more service. Others seemed to connect effortlessly. With exhaustion came confusion and some resentment, the way my siblings must have felt when they bore Dad's wrath while I seemed to be unconditionally loved and lovable, the way I had felt when my siblings distanced themselves from me. The confusion and outsiderness I felt was familiar to me, familial to me. When I ended my marriage of 20 years, I had the chance to form my own healthy family for the first time. Together, Sid and his 2 Siberian cats, and I and my 2 daughters reached and received and found ourselves essential to one another in good and healthy ways. It wasn't because we were the same. In fact, it can be a wild ride at times. But the love and trust we share is an agreed upon thing. We rock bottom know that each of us wants to tend to the bonds between us, to strengthen and mend them when they are damaged. And we agree that can't happen if we gloss over things or refuse to be accountable to each other. Today, I stand in this church looking out on those empty chairs again, taped with names of people I've come to see as belonging to my experience in this place, and wondering how it is and why it is I have reached out to so few of them. I never really learned how to cultivate close relationships, and overwork makes a poor proxy for connection. Good news. It is never too late to learn, to heal, to step away from that boulder. I have a lot of postage stamps, so I can start to reach out. It took more than 10 years of my new marriage to notice, hey, wait a minute. I don't need to rely on non-familial groups to fulfill my myth of family. I don't need to perform work or service to the point of exhaustion in order to earn belonging in my extra-familial groups. I don't need to carry the heavy and wildly unrealistic myth of family anymore. Not ever. And I don't need to impose that burden on this community. The exciting part of this awakening is the empowerment I feel to more often choose how I serve and work based on the healthy balance I seek for my life. I no longer have to overwork here or anywhere. I can seek and try to cultivate healthy, genuine, even challenging connections with others in this church as part of the service work I do around this place. I can choose. And since it is Minister Appreciation Day, I too want to tell a brief story about our minister. Just under the pandemic wire, I asked to meet with Oscar in person. I didn't have the clarity I have today about my attempts to erase and replace the wounds of my first family. In fact, when I met with Oscar, I was deep into managing the fallout of trying to make the church my family without really knowing what I was up to. And I was frustrated in my work with a group in which I desperately wanted to feel a sense of belonging. Oscar listened, then asked a simple question. How well do you know these people? What a great question. I sat in silence, which he correctly read as being gobstopped. See if getting to know them helps, he said, so gently. And this is pretty much how all of my pastoral experiences with Oscar go. I bring this tangle of all this stuff, and he sits, and he sits, and then he says one simple, not easy thing. And that's my work for the next 6 months of spiritual formation. The pandemic has made it harder to get to know people in this community, of communities, really, We're a community of communities in this place. It's been harder to allow myself to be known, but I am trying to listen better and more often, trying to risk telling my truth, trying to embrace being shaped and challenged by what happens next. And soon, I do have those postage stamps. May we reach for one another, each of us, in our own ways and in our own time. Our closing hymn is 1029, Love Knocks and Waits for Us to Hear. And I am waiting to hear this hymn because I chose it really for the words, and I don't read music, so I had no idea what it sounded like. So Julie, well, here you go. Thank you.
Love knocks and waits for us to hear, to open and invite. Love longs to quiet every fear and seeks to set things right. Love offers life in spite of foes who threaten and condemn. Embracing enemies, love goes the second mile with them. Love comes to heal the broken heart, to ease the troubled mind. Without a word, love bids us start to ask and seek and find. Love knocks and enters at the sound of welcome from within. Love sings and dances all around and feels new life begin.
Our closing words are by Erica Hewitt, and this is a reading in two parts, obviously. That's why we're standing here. I have secrets inside of me and struggles, and I don't know if I'm ready to share them.
I want to hear what you have to say.
I want to speak of the deepest things together.
I want to hear what you dream about, what you hope for.
I want to know how you have come to arrive at this resting point along your journey.
What if I speak and you don't understand me?
I will listen and listen again until my hearing becomes understanding.
What if I can't find the words to share the world inside me?
I believe that wise words will emerge from you.
How can I trust you to hold my life stories, you who I may not even know?
By knowing that as I receive part of your story, I will give you part of mine.
How will this work? What will happen? What awaits us?
Let us begin to listen and trust and to know one another more deeply. Bring us home, Chris.
There's a spark that turns an ember to a flame. And there's a move that makes a difference in the game. And there's a line that some are clearly meant to cross. And there's a wind that often makes up for a loss. And there's a drop that turns a trickle to a flood. And there's a bond that grows much deeper than the blood. And there's a debt that rarely ever gets repaid. And there's a reason for the choices we have made. Summer to fall, winter to spring. Who knows what changes the seasons will bring? There's a grain of sand that crumbles into dust. And there's a part of us we may never learn to trust. There's a crack inside the armor we have cast. And there's a time when things start moving much too fast. And there's a story only you alone can tell. And there are myths we seem determined to dispel. And when our destiny comes ready to reveal, it's in that moment that we recognize the deal. Summer to fall, winter to spring. Who knows what changes the seasons will bring?